In 1971, a group of college students volunteered for a psychology study. They were healthy, normal, and just 3 days later, some of them began abusing prisoners. They weren't criminals, they weren't guards, they were just students. This was the Stanford Prison Experiment. But this video isn't really about a study. It's about a question. Does a person become cruel because of who they are, or because of the role they are placed in? In the summer of 1971, a small advertisement appeared in a newspaper. $15 per day. A psychological study of prison life male college students needed. 24 men were selected. They were given psychological tests. None were aggressive. None had mental health problems. They were all considered emotionally stable. Then they were randomly divided into 2 groups. Half became prisoners, half became guards. That was it. Not a personality result, not a skill selection, just chance. Each of them learned their role in that moment. And it did not take long before they began to adopt it. The basement of Stanford University's psychology building was turned into a small prison. Cells, steel bars, a solitary confinement room. But the environment was not the most important part. The procedure was. The prisoners were taken from their homes by real police officers. They were handcuffed in front of their neighbors. They were fingerprinted. They were blindfolded. And their names were taken away. From that moment on, they were only numbers. The guards were given only one instruction: maintain order. Nothing else was explained, and this is where everything began. The first day was strange. The guards laughed. The prisoners joked. Because everyone still understood one thing. This was just an experiment. Then the prisoners rebelled. They blocked the cell doors with beds. They refused to follow orders. And something critical happened. The guards did not wait for instructions from the researchers. They made their own decisions. They forced the prisoners back using fire extinguishers. They removed their clothes. Some were placed in solitary confinement, and a psychological threshold was crossed. They were no longer acting. They were living the role. The participants internalized their roles very quickly. The environment began to resemble a real prison. They were now truly prisoners and guards. The guards were given mirrored sunglasses. The prisoners could not see their eyes. This small detail mattered, because when you cannot see a person's eyes, you stop seeing them as an individual. The guards were no longer people. They became an authority. The prisoners became numbers, and humans rarely feel empathy toward numbers. One prisoner began crying after only 36 hours, uncontrollably. He was screaming. He had to be removed from the experiment. At first, the researchers thought he was pretending, but he wasn't. He was experiencing a real psychological breakdown. Then, another one, and another. The study was planned to last 2 weeks, but within days, the researchers themselves became uneasy. Because it wasn't only the students who were changing, the researchers were changing too. Professor Philip Zimbardo, who ran the study, had also taken the role of prison superintendent, and something happened. He stopped managing an experiment and began managing a prison. It was no longer only the participants inside the roles. Even the man who designed the study had entered it. The creator of the experiment himself becoming absorbed into the role shows how deeply the situation affected everyone involved. Then one day, a graduate student visited the prison. She was shocked. She said, "You're treating these people badly." In that moment, Zimbardo realized something. No one was thinking of this as an experiment anymore. The study was stopped immediately. It was supposed to last 14 days. It ended after 6. This experiment showed something important. People do not always become cruel because they are bad. Sometimes they become cruel because the role allows them to be. A system can suppress an individual's morality. And the most disturbing part is this. None of the participants were bad people at the beginning, so maybe the real question is not, why did they behave this way? The real question is this. How would we behave under the same conditions? Because those guards were not different from us at the start.